last week, I know from when we were working last week, I will give you guys an angle on your triangle. I will give you guys an angle one side, and you guys have to find another side. That was last week. Right, so you guys had to find a side. For this week, what we're gonna work on is how to find the angle. I give you guys two sides, and you guys have to find the angle. And it's very close to what we were doing last week. First of all, let me start by labeling the two sides that I have. I have the opposite and I have the adjacent. And so I'm going to start by labeling what I have. I know with opposite and adjacent, I know I'm dealing with tangent. Since my angle, I don't know, let me call it x for right now. So since my angle is x, the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to write tangent of x. Right? We always do sine, cosine, or tangent of the angle. So in this case, tangent of x is equal to 8 over 27. Right? We know tangent is opposite over adjacent. So tangent is 8 over 27. Now, it would be nice if I could change the x with the fraction. If I could just switch it. There's a possible way, but instead of calling it tangent, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this tangent inverse. So it's going to have that little negative 1 there. So it's going to have tangent inverse of 8 over 27 is equal to x. If you look at your calculator, there should be a key that says tangent. There's a key that says tangent, but like right above it, it says tangent inverse. Right? It has a negative 1 to it. In order for you to do that, you have to press on the far left and top, there's a key. Depending on your calculator, it might say shift or second. Like I said, depending on yours, it might say shift or second in order for us to use the inverse. Like I said, we're doing the inverse, but once again, you have to press that second or shift first in order for you to use that inverse. And then depending on your calculator, sometimes you have to type in the decimal first, and then sometimes you have to type in the tan inverse first. So let me open a calculator for me. Let me open the calculator. In my case, let me get the decimal first. Like I said, in my case, I have to get the decimal first. Depending on your calculator, which one you have to do first. Like I said, in mine, I'm gonna find out how much is 8 divided by 27. So I'm just gonna go 8 divided by 27, and it gives me a long decimal. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as a decimal, and I'm gonna do tan inverse. Like in my case, I had to do the fraction first. Then I had to do tan inverse. I see inverse there, and I see tangent with a negative 1 here. So that's my case. It gives me there. So it gives me 16.5, but I'm going to round it to the nearest whole number. When we deal with degrees, we go to the nearest degree, so nearest whole number. So I'm going to say x equals, in my case, 17. Do make sure you have your calculator on degrees. Sometimes it changes to radians. Make sure you have your calculator on degrees. So you should get that. Like I said, in my case, I had to type in the decimal first, 8 divided by 27, and then tan inverse. In order for me to get tan inverse, I had to press inverse first. In your case, it might be second or shift. Like I said, depending on which calculator you guys have. Some other calculators, you have to type in second tan inverse, opens the parentheses, and then you type in the fraction. Like I said, it varies depending on your calculator. All right, let me take a look at question number 2. Labeling the sides that I have opposite and adjacent again. So I'm going to deal with tangent. So let me write tangent of x, right? Tangent of the angle. In this case, it's 14 over 49. You can simplify it, but I'm not going to simplify it because since I have to convert to a decimal, I'll let the calculator do the simplified. So it can be simplified, but I'm not going to simplify it. I'm going to write tangent inverse of 14 over 49 is x. So I need to find out this. So let me open my calculator again. Once again, in my case, let me get the decimal first. When I said decimal, I need to find out how much is 14 divided by 49. And I got that. Right, 14 divided by 49. That's the decimal that I had. So now I have to do tan inverse. In my case, there's inverse. Once again, your case might be shift, second, whatever your calculator says. So in my case, I press inverse. Tan to the -1 is there. So I get 16 degrees. Round it out to the nearest whole number. So I can say at 4 degrees, we do the nearest whole number. I know I gave you guys a chart last week. You can do the chart, but to be honest, I don't recommend it. The way you will do this as a chart, you go 14 divided by 49. So you get your decimal first. That's your decimal. Then look on the chart of tangents, since we're dealing with tangents. Look for the degree that is closest to that decimal. Like I said, you're looking for which degree is closest. So you might not see that number exactly. You're looking which tangent is closest to that, and that's your degree. Like I said, that's using the chart. But that's too much. I don't recommend the chart. But that's how you would do it with the chart. Let me do one more question. But I don't want to do tangent again, so let me not do number 3. In my case, let me do number 4. Like I said, I don't want to do tangent again. In this case, I have the opposite and hypotenuse. So I'm not going to do tangent. Using O and H, I know I'm dealing with sine. So I'm saying sine of x is equal to 6 over 8. So I need to find the sine inverse of 6 over 8. That's x. So let me open my calculator. If you guys are struggling on how to use your calculator, I'll come to you in a minute, and I'll show you how to do it. So let me come and say 6 divided by 8. I get a decimal, gives me 0.75. I need to find sine inverse. So let me go inverse sine, and that gives me what, 49 degrees? So again, I'm rounding. When it comes to degrees, we go to the nearest whole number. I know for sides, we were going 1 decimal place. But 4 degrees, we go to the nearest whole number. So 49 degrees. Unless it's a problem with your calculator that you guys don't know how to use it. So if you guys don't know, I'll come to you once we finish. But unless that's the problem, do you have any questions? Yes. Number 12. Okay. For number 12, it seems like I have the hypotenuse and the adjacent. So I'm going to use ka. So I'm going to use ka. So that stands for cosine of x is 31 over 58. So cosine inverse of 31 over 58 is x. In order for me to switch the x with the fraction, I change it to inverse. So let me get my calculator out. In my case, let me find out what's 31 divided by 58. So it gives me a decimal. So now I need to do cosine inverse of that. So I press my second, cosine. So I get x is equal to 58 degrees. All right. Any questions? question.
Let me take roll really quick.